Hey everybody, good evening. It is Monday, April 17th, 2023, 6:15 p.m. New York time. And hope everybody had a great day. And I just want to review a couple of trades that I had today and a couple that I still have running in Forex. And this is based off kind of the video that I made over the weekend regarding just kind of using simple structure zones to get into really good high quality trades. And so I'm going to show you a couple and what's going on and what I saw on these today, and we'll just talk about it here. Okay, so let's get this started. So what you're seeing on the screen here is the 15-minute chart of the MES, which is the Micro E-mini S&P 500 futures June 2023 contract. So these are futures stock indices. This happens to be the S&P, and I've been trading in this market kind of secondary to Forex, so I still have a relatively small account here, so I'm just trading the micros for now because I'm still doing mostly Forex. But anyways, you can trade it the exact same way. So let me just show you what was going on here. So if we go out to a little bit higher time frame, we can see clearly have been in an uptrend here, right? Higher highs, higher lows, nothing surprising there. Down to the 1 hour chart. This is where I started to get interested in this today, because you can see from last week we had this impulsive move up here, and then we had what clearly is a very corrective move back down. And how you can see this is like it only took 4 candles for it to go this whole distance right here. But look how many candles it took for it to come all the way back down, right? So it took, many more candles. In fact, we can measure that. So once it got to this high, it took 20 candles. So it took 20 candles to come back, and only took 4 candles to go up. So you don't have to be a genius to say that's corrective price action. But more importantly, it was where it went to. Now it's a little hard to see on the 1 hour, so I went down to a 15-minute. And here's what I drew on the 15. I had these drawn on here before I took these trades. So this yellow line kind of represented kind of the line in the sand for the structure. And then, when I come down to the 15, I saw this really impulsive push off here. We had this one candle push back with this long wick, and then it shot up again. So I was looking for a trade either inside of this zone, or if it broke through here, my next area I would have been looking for along would have been if it came down to here. Well, you can see what happened. It came right down into this zone. We had this candle wicked out right here, right in the middle of this zone. And I drew this rectangle from the close of the bottom of this wick, which is the close of this blue candle, up to the bottom of the body. And this was kind of the liquidity area I was looking to target, where this wick was, because that clearly indicated this is where the buyer stepped in, and there was probably a lot of buying going on right from this area. It also, I don't really look at the numbers. People talk about like round numbers and 50 numbers. So if you want to go that way, this is right at 4150. You can see you can see on the rectangle pop up 4150. So this is, what they would either consider a round number or a number ending in 50, kind of like right in between two round numbers. So round number would be like 4100, 4200, or obviously in the middle, 4150. It's something that I'm going to start looking at more when I look at my zones, but I'm not sure how much that always plays in. Well, I guess that, we'll have to see. But, for extra confirmation, if you like that kind of stuff, it is at a round number. And I didn't put a fib on here, but let's just throw a fib on here. And you can see we also went right to the 78.6 retracement, which also lined up with that round number, or that 50 number. So we have 2 confirmations right there. Neither one of them I actually used for this trade, but if you wanted extra confirmation, you could have done that. And so we came down here, and then I saw this red candle push down right here, which is definitely trying to grab some liquidity, trying to suck people into going short right here, thinking this thing's going to continue down. And on the very next candle, it wicked out. Now I did not go to a 5-minute chart, but I suppose if you went to a 5-minute chart, you would have seen this right here, okay, and to see that that thing had gone down right into that liquidity zone, okay. And so you can see where I took my long position right there at that little blue arrow, and this is where I got out. I did get out a tiny bit early, but it was getting late in the session. This was about a half hour or an hour before the market closed, maybe an hour and a half, and I was going to be away from my chart, so it got up to this kind of resistance area, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to bail out now. And it did push up a little bit higher before the close, but I was fine with that. So took a nice profit there, and it was just based strictly on a quick look at the higher time frame to see we're in an uptrend, and identifying impulsive price action, okay, and then clear retracement back into a structure zone, and again either here or down here. Now obviously if price come down and it closed definitively below this yellow line, then we got a pull back and a push down, then that would have negated my short-term bias, to go long, and but to that point, I still would have been looking for other structure areas lower, down in this area or down here. But obviously, that's a moot point because we never got there. Okay, so that was that trade, and again, that was just strictly off just structure areas, and like I just showed you, there was Fibonacci and round number confluence there, but I didn't even use those. I just threw that on there now. But they are things that you could certainly add to your confluence. Okay, so that's that one. And the other one I took is pretty much the same, but it was on the NQ, and the NQ is the Nasdaq future. So this is the micro E-mini Nasdaq. So it's another stock index. And this one actually held a little bit longer, but it was the exact same setup. Here it is on the 15-minute chart, and you can see the zone. And the zone on this one is actually is a little bit clearer on the 5-minute chart. Okay. And again, we were in an uptrend here. Okay, and so I was definitely looking for long positions. Okay, and we saw the market the first part of the day just not really do much, kind of retrace back into this previous area down here from last week. And again, if we use Fibonacci and draw it on here, you can see again right to the 78.6 retracement. We had this red candle, this bearish purple candle come down, hit right into this zone right here. Okay, and right about here would have been the zone. Okay, and it's the 78.6 retracement. And again, similar to what I did in the S&P, this would have been kind of the line in the sand down here a little bit. Okay, on this, and that's it. And then from a standpoint of numbers, again, I didn't look at this, but let's take a quick look here. And I guess you can say 13,100 down here at this wick. So this is one of those ones where, I don't know. The numbers are not exactly, because the round number is 13,100, which is up here. But either way, it's close. But the Fibonacci is right on 78.6. And you can see I got in here and you got out here. And again, this was just about an hour or so before the close. Again, we got up to this resistance area and it was getting late in the session. So I just took my profits off and exited for the day. So there you go. And just based on strict structure, okay, again, guys, impulsive move up, very, very choppy corrective action down. Okay, again, if we look at a measurement here from this low up to here, this took 14 candles to go from this low down here up to this high. That took 14, 15-minute candles. But to go from this high down to this retracement low, you can see it took 75 candles, okay? So, 75 divided by 14, it took over 5 times longer for it to go from here to here as it did to initially push up, okay? So, corrective versus impulsive price action. So I just wanted to show you a couple of trades, guys, and just be patient with these. So I've just started looking to only get into these trades, where I'm not buying or selling at the top of a move or at the bottom of a move. I'm waiting for those pullbacks into structure zones, and, I'm kind of using, like I said, easily identifiable structure zones for price to come back into those. And then I just watch for bullish price action. I love pin bars or engulfing candles on shorter time frames, 15 minute to 1 hour. Look for those strong pushes off there, just showing you that buyers in this case are stepping back in. Obviously, if this was a downtrend, you'd be talking about sellers stepping back in. You'd see a pin bar in the opposite direction, or a bearish engulfing candle. But in this case, we had, a bullish pin bar. And on the 1 hour chart, we certainly had a bullish engulfing candle here. But if you had waited for this on the hourly chart, you would have missed, half this move by the time this candle closed, which is why I like going down to like a 15-minute. And some people say, oh, you should probably go to a 5-minute chart and look for the entry on the 5-minute. And if I had gone to the 5-minute, maybe I could have gotten in like here instead of here, but it's, whatever. Split, you split hairs at that point. I mean, because you're talking about, you're talking about 9 points or so. Some people, hey, if you're trading a big account, I suppose that's, 9 points is a lot. Okay. But either way, guys, it's the same analysis. And there you go. So that's those two trades, guys. The other two, I just wanted to show that I'm still in. So now this is on Forex. So this is the, let's go to the pound Canadian first, see what that one's. I haven't looked at this one in a while. Okay, so this is the pound Canadian. Obviously, I'm letting these run through the night tonight. And we'll see what happens tomorrow. Obviously, it's the Asian session now, so I don't expect a lot of movement on these. But I do expect that once London reopens tomorrow, we'll have some volatility pick back up. It was a pretty quiet day in the Forex market. There wasn't, which is kind of a typical Monday thing. Things didn't really do all that much. But this is kind of the similar setup to what we just saw on those futures, right? Where we had, price come back into a zone. This was a previously tapped zone down here. And you can see we had this strong bullish candle push right out of here. Okay, unfortunately, it didn't really, and that's when I got in. And I did get into this late. I will definitely admit that. I should have gotten in probably down here. I'd still be probably sitting in a small loss, but I'm in some drawdown right now, but that's okay. I'm just going to hold this thing. I've moved my stop a little bit below these lows down here. I might actually lower this a little bit more overnight in case we get spike down at the London Open. I wouldn't be surprised if the hedge funds, big banks try to just spike the price down one more time because, again, they know that there's a bunch of stop losses sitting there, a bunch of buy stops and liquidity sitting there. Obviously, a stop loss on a buy position is a sell position, and so they might, spike that down, take that liquidity, and then drive the price up, hopefully. So that's what I'm counting on. And, again, this is a really choppy price action. But if nothing else, you can see we had this impulsive move up and then corrective move down. And you can see it definitely went past this previous low right in here. That's not unusual where they're going to try to, again, fool people into going short. You can see we had this one candle right here that kind of closed and broke below this low, trying to suck people into going short. Even though we didn't take out the lows over here, so I wouldn't have even thought about going short because these lows were still being held. And then we had this one bullish engulfing candle on the 4-hour chart. That's when I took the long. I did know when I got in, quite honestly, that I was probably going to go into drawdown. It's not the best fill, but we'll see what happens because it is basically the same setup, guys. And this is a 4-hour chart. And if you go to the daily, we're definitely in an uptrend. Again, higher highs, higher lows. But, pairs like the pound Canadian are going to be, pretty volatile pairs. And that's just, the nature of trading some of these pound crosses. You just have to be willing to sit through some volatility. So, all right. And then the other one is also a CAD pair, is the dollar Canadian. And again, it's pretty much the exact same thing. And this one, I'm looking at the daily chart here. So this was the setup into the daily chart, right back into this zone down here. I have these instead of drawing a rectangle, I have these two purple lines kind of marking out the zone. And you can see we went down to the 4-hour here. We went right into that zone. Okay, we had this pin bar bounce off of here and then this push back up. And again, same thing, not a great entry. This probably would have been a better entry is, down here. We go to a 15-minute chart, I should have honestly gotten in down here. But I think this happened during the London session, which I was asleep. So the learning lesson on this one is to, wait for another little pullback. But again, I got plenty of room to work on this one. So going back to the longer time frame, you can see my stop loss back down below these lows. And I'm just going to hold this overnight. And, we could see this thing drift. We probably will see it just drift all night, maybe a little lower, whatever, or just sideways. And I am expecting this thing to go higher, just based on these zones here. But we'll see how that goes. And, you know, that's what's happening there. Let's see. So both of these pairs is what I had talked about on my video I recorded over the weekend. The other one that I was looking at was the pound versus the US dollar. And you can see the pound versus the US dollar on the hourly chart here has you know, sold down right into this zone right here. I'm not in a trade here, as you can see. I'd like a little bit more confirmation. This is basically looking a lot like the pound Canadian. Only thing is the pound Canadian is trading up around this resistance zone, you know, where you can see this previous support, now resistance. So the pound Canadian's up a little further, but this is basically the same thing. So I'd like to see this thing trade a little bit higher, but it definitely has come back down into this zone, you know, where we had this previous push off. We had this way back here impulsive move, came right back into it, pushed off, and now it's come back and retested this zone again. Okay, and so there were two zones here I was actually looking. I was looking at this one right here. You can see this little correction push off. So I marked off this one, and there actually was a little folia right here, right? False break. You know, we had this breakdown, and then we had this bullish candle up. Price came right back up to here, and then sold back down. So it might have sucked people into going long right here or going short. People may have gone short here, got stopped out. People going long here. You know, depending where they put their stop, if they put it right down here, then they've been stopped out. So this is classic market manipulation. So on this one, I'm waiting for price to, you know, really break back through some of these highs. This is an hourly chart that could easily happen on one candle, to be honest with you. And so I do have a couple of price alarms set to keep an eye on this one. This might happen during the London session, so I don't know if I'll catch it. But it is one that I'm looking at. But again, simple zone and structure zones based off the, you know, the time frames here. Again, we're in an uptrend on the daily, in an uptrend on the 4 hour. You can see the 4 hour. This is kind of the line in the sand, this previous structure low right here, which we've come back to, which I was just showing you on the 4 hour chart. Excuse me, on the 1 hour chart. And you can see right here on the 4 hour, this is kind of the wider view where we had, you know, higher low, higher low, higher low. We've now come back to this area. So this is a line in the sand is what I call it, right? If we get a break below this and, you know, a definitive close, breakthrough, retest, and then down, then, you know, your next target would be, you know, to the downside would be somewhere down here. But as long as this holds, then, you know, I'm still looking at this thing to continue up. Although, like I said, I'm not currently in a trade. Euro dollar. Okay, so on the euro dollar, okay, this one, so the daily chart, we're still in an uptrend on the daily chart, and you can see I have this box drawn here. So this is kind of a minor zone because it's really on the 1 hour chart. I had drawn this out, but you can see I have this line down here. This is the 4 hour structure zone, and we did break through that 1 hour. I did not take a trade on this, and again, this happened, I think, during the London session, because we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 4 hour candles. This actually started during the Asian session yesterday. 6 4 hour candles 24 hours ago, but you can see it accelerated during London, and then during the New York session, it made one push down and then went sideways. So, which is kind of typical for Monday. So my guess on this one now, I could probably get rid of this rectangle. So my guess now that this is broken through is that I'm looking at either a retest back into this area, or there's a potential demand zone right here. Okay, on the 1 hour chart. So I am going to look at these two zones right here. This is a potential demand zone. It's not really that great from what I can see, though. There's a lot of small candles coming out of here, but I don't know. So I'll keep an eye on this one. But I am still looking to go long on this, whether it comes down to here and we get some bullish price action, or whether if it breaks through this line, then the next zone I'd be looking at is, you know, somewhere down in this area right here. Okay? And we need to adjust this. Well, we'll leave it like that. We'll just put another line here, kind of mark out. Oops, I don't want a full line like that. I just want a trend line. You know, something like this. So this is the next zone down in here, if it makes it through this one right here. We could see it bounce. This could be a little demand zone right here, and we could see it bounce from there. If we use our Fibonacci's, put that on there, it doesn't really line up with any Fibonacci. So this is what I talk about with fibs, guys. It's great when they work out. It is sitting, I guess you could say, at the 61.8, so could bounce from here. But you can see this line is in between the two, so there's no fib you can rely on here. This is the 100% down here, so not really a huge fib zone right there. In terms of round numbers, you know, we're at this line represents about the 1.09 area, so this could be something. But again, it's in the Asian session now, so not really much to really look at right now. But this is another one I still have on my watch list. And then Canadian Swiss actually did continue up, which I expected. I did not take this trade because it wasn't in a good area when I first looked at it. So I looked at it for potential, but I never ended up taking this trade. But we'll see what happens, because I think once it gets up to this area, we could be looking at some strong resistance up here. But anyway, so pound CAD, pound dollar, euro CAD, euro dollar are kind of the four that I'm looking at. I'm in those two right now. The other two I'm kind of looking for potential entries tomorrow. And yeah, that's about it. So I'm going to, take a quick click through the other 9 or so pairs that I follow later. I'm trying to keep these videos pretty short, and we're already at 20 minutes here. So I'm going to end this one here. And like I said, if I see anything after today's price action on any of these other charts, maybe I'll drop another video later tonight after I have some dinner, and you can check them out later. And we'll see what we might have set up for potentially for the next day or so. All right. So I hope you guys got something out of it. Please, God, smash that like button. Really appreciate the help with the YouTube algorithm. And if you have any questions or comments, of course, leave them down below. And hit subscribe. You see that somewhere down in the lower right corner of the screen. And ring that bell notification so you get notified when I post new content, which is sporadic, admittedly. But, I try to do a couple of days a week anyways. All right. And I hope that was helpful, guys. And, you can see no indicators on my chart, just price action, structure areas, and, using some higher time frame analysis to establish the trend, and then looking for some, potential high quality zones to enter from on shorter time frames. So, all right, guys, so that's it. Talk to everybody soon. Thanks for watching. And again, leave any comments or questions below.